like to tell you that I'm missing you guys in school though. So let's all pray and hope the whole lockdown thing comes to a close and we all resume back to school. Meanwhile, sit back and enjoy today's class. It's going to be amazing, yeah? So our first topic for the term is volume. Volume. You'll be wondering what is volume, how does volume concerns me? But the good news is volume has a long way to go in our everyday activity and in how much we can relate to stuff. Yeah? Now, our first topic is volume. Now, what is volume? Let me just give us a very brief, simple, and quick description or definition of volume. Volume is the amount of space. Volume is the amount of space a solid takes up. Volume is the amount of space a solid takes up. For instance, we've seen something like this that looks like a bottle. We've seen something like this that looks like a bottle. Let's assume there are contents inside this bottle. Now, someone might ask, what is the volume of this bottle? The volume of this bottle is simply the amount of space this bottle can accommodate. Yeah? The amount of space this shape or this container has. That is what is described as volume. And if you check closely in your houses, you might see Coca-Cola container or any of the soft drink container. If you check closely, you see the capacity it contains. Some has a graduation of 35 cl, some has a graduation of 50 cl. Those are just a description of volume on it. But today, we are not going to be talking about the Coca-Cola bottle or any of the bottles. We'll be treating volumes of three-dimensional shapes. Volume of 3D. Volume of three-dimensional shapes. From our previous lessons last time, we taught three-dimensional shapes, and we have examples of such as what? The cube, the cuboid, and we have the what? Cylinder. We have the cube, the cuboid, and the cylinder. We'll be looking at volumes of three-dimensional shapes, the cube, the cuboid, and the cylinder. Now, assuming this is a cube, let's take for instance, this is a cube, and this cube has shape of side D. This side is D, this side is D, and this side is D. If you can remember from last time, we said the unique thing about the cube is all the sides are equal, yeah? So if this side is D, this side will be D, and this side will be D. Now, volume of this cube, volume of the cube will be equal to what? D, this D, multiplied by this D, multiplied by this D. So it will give us what? D raised to the power of 3. That is the formula for calculating the volume of what? The cube. Supposing I change this D to be C, and this guy to be C, and this guy to be C. Now the volume of my cube will now be what? C multiplied by C multiplied by C, which is equal to C raised to the power of 3. That means you have a choice of choosing what alphabet you want to use in denoting your side. Are we together? So you mustn't use the yeah. You're free to make a choice. Now the next shape we'll be considering is what? The cuboid. The cuboid. We're considering the cuboid. Let's assume our cuboid looks like this. Let's assume our cuboid looks like this. Yeah? And this side is labeled A. This side labeled B. This side is labeled C. Let's assume this is the shape of our cuboid. Now the volume of the cuboid will be what? This A multiplied by this B multiplied by this C. Very simple. So it's going to be what? A times B times C. Are we together? Now, take for instance, instead of A, we change it to be what? X, and this guy Y, and this guy Z. Our volume will be equal to what? X multiplied by Y multiplied by Z. So you are at liberty to choose what alphabet you want to use in denoting them. Are we together? Now the last one is cylinder. Let's assume this the shape of our cylinder. Let this be the height. And this guy be the radius, R. Okay? So the volume of our cylinder is what? The volume is equal to what? Pi R squared multiplied by height. From last time when I taught you 3 dimensions, I said for a cylinder is somewhat made up of two circles and a rectangle. It's made up of 2 circles and a rectangle. Now, to get the volume is simply the area of those circles multiplied by what? The height of the cylinder. Are we together? So our volume is pi R squared multiplied by height. Now let's do some quick simple calculations so we see how to go about this, yeah? So for example, let me just leave the figures on the board and impute numbers so we get it clear, yeah? For example, the first one, assuming we are asked to calculate the area of a cube, let's assume here is what? 10 centimeter, here 10 centimeter, here will also be what? 10 centimeter, since all the sides are what? Equal. Now, if you are asked, what is the volume of this guy? What's the volume of this cube? It's going to be what? Volume of cube equal to 10 centimeter multiplied by this 10 centimeter multiplied by this 10 centimeter. That will give us what? 1 0 times 1 0 times 1 0, which is equal to 1000 centimeter cube. Please note, always put your cube here behind the centimeter mark, otherwise you are not talking about volume. As far as volume is concerned, please, the cube sign is always necessary. Therefore, it cannot be negligible. Are we together? Hope is very simple here. You just put your 10 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 10 and you get 1000 centimeter cube. Now let's try the same thing for the cuboid. Assuming this guy is 5 centimeter, this guy here is 10 centimeter, and this guy here is, let's use 15 centimeter. Okay? If this guy is 5, this is 10, and this guy is 15 centimeter here, what is the volume of the cuboid? Very simple. The volume is equal to this 5 multiplied by this 10 multiplied by this 15. Are we together? Therefore, we have 5 times 10 will give us what? 50 multiplied by 15. Now when you do your normal arithmetic, you have 50 multiplied by what? 15. The same thing as 150 multiplied by 5. So we have 0, this one will give us 25, carry 5, write down 5, 2, this is 5, and this is 7. So we have what? 750 centimeter cube. Very simple. Are we together? Now, For the cylinder, let's assume the radius of the cylinder is what? Let's assume the radius is equal to, let's say, 7 centimeter, and the height is equal to what? 20. Let's use the height to be 10. The height is what? 10 centimeter. Yeah? So to get the volume says is going to be what? Pi r squared multiplied by height. Therefore, it's going to be, our pi is what? 22/7. Given pi, to be 22/7. Our radius, our volume is what? Pi r squared multiplied by h, which is equal to 22/7 multiplied by, the radius is 7 multiplied by 7, the height is what? 10. So this 7 cancels the 7. So we have 22 multiplied by 70. Yeah? We have 22 multiplied by 70. This will give us 0, 14, carry 1, 14, 15. So 1540. Our answer is going to be what? 1540 cm cubed. Very simple. Now we have a more comprehensive solutions to all these questions inside the notes. But suppose there's any question, please, you could feel free to ask, because I'm always available to attend to those questions. Yeah. Just a quick review on what we just did. We treated volume, and volume is the capacity of a solid, or the capacity a solid can occupy. Yeah. Now we have volumes of three-dimensional shapes. We are talking about the cube, the cuboid, and the cylinder. For a cube, the volume of a cube is the multiplication of all the sides, since all the sides are equal. So if here is 10 centimeter, this guy will be 10 centimeter, here also will be 10 centimeter, here will be 10, here will be 10, here will be 10, here will be 10. I taught us last time. So the volume is what? D times D times D, which is D raised to the power of 3. Now we have a solved problem here. If this is 10, 10 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 10 will give us what? 1000 centimeter cube for the volume of the cube. And for the cuboid is somewhat like a rectangle, yeah? Now the volume of the cuboid for this solution here, we have here to be 5 centimeter, 10 centimeter, 15 centimeter. Now the volume is the multiplication of this times this times this, which is what? 5 times 10 times 15, which is 50 times 150 to give us what? 750 centimeter cube. For the cylinder, the volume of the cylinder is pi r squared multiplied by the height. This is the height of the cylinder. This is the circles that made up the cylinder, yeah? So the radius of this cylinder is 7 and the height is 10. So the volume therefore is what? Pi r squared multiplied by h. Recall that your pi is 22/7. So 22/7 multiplied by 7 multiplied by 7 multiplied by 10. It gives us what? 1540 centimeter cube. That will be the end of today's class. Please do well to go through your notes. And if there's any question, please reach out. Thank you.